Well, if you're watching on video, then you probably already figured out who this week's guest is, unless you don't know him. Today's guest. Oh, we didn't do an intro.
Yeah, I mean, I figured you're just kind of rolling right into it.
At this point, they have no clue who I am.
Yeah. Well,
That's true.
Now we have good audio outro.
That's true. Anyways, hello everybody. Welcome to an interview with my best friend. I am Josh, your host. Today I am joined by my co-host Hayden.
Hi.
Say hello, Hayden.
My name's Hayden. First time caller, long time listener.
And Hayden, who's this guest that's sitting right next to you?
Today on the podcast, our special guest is my dad. You can call him Howard or you can call him Dad, but
either way,
that's it. That's it. He doesn't respond to anything.
He only
else.
responds to those two things.
That's
Howard
right.
or Dad, nothing else. No
That's
more,
right.
no less.
Like, I don't even, if someone says, hey, you, to you, do you respond?
No.
Oh, see, I know a thing or two.
You must be talking to somebody else. There's no way.
Yeah, he just could not be bothered.
Although if you say, hey, Griffith, then
Oh shit, yeah.
That's fair.
We have that
the old school Navy thing still.
You have that military training just hardwired
That's
into your
right.
brain.
Yeah, when I was getting ready to go into the Navy, I remember him talking to me. He was like, yeah, so people are gonna call you probably Griff, like they're gonna probably shorten it because that's what they called me. And I was like, okay, I can get behind that. That's fine. And then I actually went underway and nobody called me Griff. They actually called me Berserk.
What?
Yeah, because in the anime Berserk, the main character's name is Griffith.
Oh.
So yeah, no, it's okay.
Interesting.
Yeah, so they called me Berserk.
It rolls off the tongue easier, I guess, than Griffith.
Yeah, a little bit.
Griffith can kind of get muddled up there at the end.
So it's good to know that what I had to go through is just slightly different.
It's good to know that you are still surrounded by nerd ass people in the Navy.
Oh yeah, no, for sure. I'm sure that you're in your job you were surrounded by nerds too.
Completely surrounded by nerds, yes.
Completely and utterly surrounded by nerds. Nerds everywhere. Couldn't swing a stick without hitting one.
Back when you were in like those nerds, did they play like D&D and stuff in cruise mess, or like what did they do in their off time? Did they read like nerd shit?
Watch Star Trek.
I think I was probably the only one that would watch Star Trek. Most of them were more into the card games.
Oh,
okay.
Actually, no, there were 2 or 3 that played D&D.
Okay. There's always a group. There's always one.
But like not in the mess. They'd go find some deep dark hole on the aircraft carrier because there's a lot of them. Where you can't be found so that you can play as long as you want to play.
Yeah, the group that I ran into, they would just play on cruise mess because they didn't give a shit. And like they actually had people that would come and watch their game. So, but I don't know. It's a lot more. It's a lot less taboo, I would say, than it probably was back then. I was
gonna say when Howard was in the Navy, it was probably like still during the time where everybody was blaming D&D for youths being reckless.
Well, so just for context here, I was in from 1990 through 1996. So there's a pretty good chance some of your listeners probably weren't even born yet.
That's completely fair.
Looking at our
demographic information. Yeah, no, you're right.
I think the only listener that was born before that time is probably mom. Mom. Wait, have your parents listened?
I don't think so, no.
Okay. Mom and dad, what the heck? If you're listening to this, what took you so long?
Heck?
Post in the comments.
Post in the comments. You could win a Starbucks gift card.
You could.
Knocking that out early in the podcast today.
Let's just get it out of the way. I don't want to say it at the end. This is the only time I'm going to say it. If you fricking comment on a YouTube video, if you fricking comment on an Instagram post, if you freaking retweet our episode that we're saying it's live. And
these are all season 2 updates.
What's the other one?
You can't go back to season 1 and retroactively get them.
Yeah, and if you leave a review on Apple or Google or wherever reviews can be left on podcasts,
the biggest one,
especially the reviews.
Yeah.
I want to see you posting like 7 reviews. Like, make an iCloud account, post a review, log out, make another iCloud account, post a review, log out. I mean,
wow. You're creating too many steps for our poor viewers.
It just helps us a lot. Like, I don't know if you noticed, but on Apple Podcasts, we already have 2 5-star ratings. So I don't know. They don't ask how, they ask how many. Am I right?
That's true.
Well, let's just get into our first question, our first real question of the day. That was kind of just off the cuff. So Dad, what was your favorite movie or book when you were mine and Josh's age?
Oh, geez.
I
don't know if I can think back that far.
To remind you, I turned 25.
Gotta go into the deep files.
Oh, wait. Okay. So that's not that far back.
I'm turning 25.
Can't
wait. I am 25.
I can't wait to catch up with you for a few months.
Quarter century. Let's go.
Quarter life crisis. Woo.
Woo.
Yeah. Let's see. 25 years ago. Wow. I don't know. I would have to say my favorite movie back in the day had to have been like Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan.
That's fair.
Solid.
Out of all the Star Trek movies, that's a really good one.
Yeah, anything after 4 was kind of an abomination.
Yeah.
6 was 6 might have pulled it back from the brink of disaster. But it seemed like, after 4, they just kind of went off the edge.
I didn't even know there was that many Star Trek movies.
Yeah, they made a lot of Star Trek movies.
Yeah, I had no idea. I've only seen probably like the first 2. And then I haven't seen all of them, but I've seen like probably 75% of Star Trek The Next Generation, but out of order.
So I actually haven't watched almost any Star Trek at all. I've seen like a couple. I've seen like you, Hayden. I've seen the first 2 movies, like original movies.
Yeah.
And then I never really watched the TV show or anything because like my parents weren't all that into it. My dad was more of a Star Wars person than a Star Trek person.
Yeah.
But then like the new movies that J.J. Abrams like made, I watched those and I enjoyed those. And I'm like, maybe I should go back and I don't know if I'd watch the original Star Trek series, but I watched Next Generation because I do like Patrick Stewart. So, and I know Becca really likes Next Generation also. So
well, you should tell yourself in the future to make it so.
So. Nice. A solid reference. I probably my favorite movie at this point in time right now is it's probably Thor Ragnarok, just because like I just love that movie. It just makes me laugh every single time I watch it. It's so good. It's so funny.
It's a solid movie.
What about you, Hayden?
I think Thor Ragnarok's probably the best Marvel movie out right now. Black Widow comes out on my birthday, so I feel like that's a sign from the universe.
That you need to go watch it, yeah.
Yeah, it's just cosmic. It's just amazing. Like, you just can't make this shit up. So I'm excited to see that. I would say my favorite, I haven't really been to the movies in a while, man. Like, I also haven't really seen a whole lot of movies recently. I think the last movie that I actually like sat down and watched, it was Voyagers. It's like that movie that just came out this year.
Mm-hmm.
It was pretty good. Not my favorite movie though. I'd probably say, I don't know. My favorite movie, like I don't have like a favorite movie of now kind of thing. I just have like a favorite
Oh,
movie of all time, which of course is Holy Grail.
Yeah.
Monty Python.
I knew you were either going to say Holy Grail or it was going to be Anchorman. It was one of those two.
Yeah.
Anchorman I was just waiting to find out which one it was actually.
Anchorman has fallen into the number 2 spot because I watched it a few months ago, and then I think we talked about this maybe on an earlier episode, but
I think we might have.
That movie did not age well.
No.
There's like some gay jokes in there, and I was like watching it and I was like, oh my God, I love this movie, but like that was super not cool. But it was like, it's a piece of its time, so
yeah,
we're not gonna get into that.
Yeah.
But whatever. So that, still love it, but it couldn't be made. It's a movie that couldn't be made today. Definitely not.
For sure. So Howard, moving on to our next question. Is there anything that you wish you had asked your parents but didn't? Like anything in particular, like, hey, I want to, like, I don't know. I want to travel travel the world, and like I want you guys to be okay with that or whatever. I don't know.
So my dad was career Navy, like 22 years. And so my whole life I was moving around with him. Like I got to live in Italy for like 4 years when I was in kindergarten. I've got to live on Guam, which for those of you who don't know is a really tiny, insignificant little island over by Japan.
America's Day starts in Guam.
Right. So I've got to live in Adak, Alaska, which for those of you who need a map, is there are 2 islands east of Adak, and then you're in Russia.
Oh God.
So oh shit.
It was way out on the Aleutian Island chain. Tiny island, fantastic place to go. Except for now that I think they've closed the military base on that island. So you can only get there once a week.
Oh my God.
So you kind of have to plan your flight.
There's
only one flight out there, and I think it's like a Thursday or something crazy like that, because I went and looked.
Wow.
Because
that's insane.
That's on my list of things to maybe do is go back there just to visit.
Wow.
And then I went back to Italy again for another 4 years when I was in the 7th through 11th grade. Came back to the States speaking fluent Italian. A lot of the Americans, when you're in the military, live in communities around other Americans.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, my parents didn't do that. We lived in the middle of the freaking Italian neighborhood. All my friends, other than school friends, were pretty much all Italian. My best friend at the time was right across the street. His dad was a fisherman. So if you're into fresh seafood, yeah, he brought it every night.
That's
awesome. It was horrible.
Oh, you poor thing.
Yeah. And the culture over there, because at the time I was the hollow leg boy. I could eat and eat and eat, and you could never fill me up. Metabolism of super rapid.
just going.
And the fun thing is the Italian moms over there are always trying to put food in your face.
Yeah,
because they want to make sure that you're taken care of. And I'd go over there and
get your stuff full.
I'm pretty sure I ate them out of house and home, and she just could not.
Oh my God.
Putting these Italian moms
what is with this boy? Why can't I?
I was making them work for their money, let me tell you.
Oh damn.
Goodness.
I'm just picturing 17-year-old dad giving some terrified 48-year-old Italian woman a heart attack because she doesn't have enough food in her pantry. This teenager. Man, I didn't know you lived in Italy twice. I thought you only lived there. You've told me that you lived there like for kindergarten. Like I know you went to Italian kindergarten,
Right?
but I didn't know you
Italian
went back.
kindergarten.
I also didn't know you lived in Alaska. So podcast exclusive.
We're learning
also,
things today, Hayden.
Also life exclusive. Like, whoa. Well, I live here. Not I lived in Monterey because of the Navy. I live here because of the Navy, Hawaii. Excited to see where it'll take me next. Hopefully I'll just stay here and then I'll get out. That'd be pretty cool.
Man, yeah, I'm just Iowa in here. Like I need to get going.
You need to get out, Josh.
I do need to get out, and I want to.
Josh wants
Becca and I have
to
talked about it.
Yeah, Josh wants to move to the Oregon coast. Oregon.
Why are you being like this, Roku?
When you move to
Ouch.
Oregon, you have to send me some oregano because that's where they get it from, right?
That's where all oregano in the whole world comes from. You're 100% correct.
Yeah, I need an oregano plug.
I think Howard is regretting coming on.
I need an oregano plug because I've been making a lot of pizza, and that's what goes in the pizza sauce is a lot of oregano. So I need it. I need some fresh stuff though.
Yeah, little does anybody know, pizza did not exist until we discovered Oregon.
That's true. Scholars maintain that the reason that there were so many depressions throughout history is because pizza just simply hadn't been invented yet.
True. You right. Oh my god.
Well, that's why, when Dad was living in Italy, he had pizza because we had already discovered Oregon far before he was born.
This is true. So,
thank you, Oregon, for pizza.
we owe you a life debt.
Okay.
Oh my goodness.
Next question. So I think you didn't answer the last question. You just talked about where you went. What's something that you wanted to ask your parents?
See, that's just the thing,
Stop making me move.
Stop making me move.
Actually, I like that part of it because there was always something different.
Okay,
I wasn't stuck in the same town as my parents.
So did
growing up? So
you didn't find yourself wanting stability in that sense?
Well, but stability is kind of a relative thing. If you know you're going to be moving every 2 to 3 years, and there's a chance that you're going to get to see something you've never seen before. I mean, like how many high school age kids can say they've been to like the Coliseum where they would train the people that went before they fought in the Coliseum in Rome.
That's true.
The opportunities that I had because Dad was in the Navy, yes, the moving sometimes occasionally sucked because you lost track of friends, but there were way more positives than there were negatives about it. So,
I get that.
I guess if there was one question, one question that I would have to ask my parents, it would be like, I don't know what ultimately made Dad get out and quit doing this because, obviously something happened and he didn't get anything out of it anymore. So that's why he got out would be my guess. But, so if there is that one question, that might be it.
I don't know if he would answer it though. Cause
no.
Probably not. So I remember talking to you about it because when Grandma and Grandpa came and visited me in Monterey for my graduation, it was pretty much I wasn't allowed to ask anything about Grandpa's naval time. He doesn't like talking about it. It's kind of like a taboo subject for him, because he just he'll get into a negative headspace or something along those lines.
Right.
But basically we're just, not supposed to really bring it up. So I think that'd be really interesting, but
So
probably, I don't know.
I think you would find if you go back now and talk to Grandpa, he would be more open and maybe revealing. What little he's told me, when he joined the Navy, he started out as a radioman. Yeah, he was that guy carrying a radio backpack in the jungles of Vietnam with all the troops. That's where he started. He ended up a lieutenant commander in the Navy.
But he started enlisted.
Right. He started out enlisted and then
climbed
up from there through a special program. But yeah,
it must have been pretty easy because I feel like, radio man out in the jungles of Vietnam, that sounds like a TIO kind of, position, out in the field with the troops. Like normally like intel guys, that's like a special billet, so he must have been like really physically fit too, because like they want you to
he's carrying a radio around the whole time too.
Yeah, they want you to be
fit.
Those
things weren't light back then.
I know. It's like it was during Vietnam. It wasn't like you had
pounds.
Like a walkie-talkie on you that was really good.
I know he had to have had some bad experiences, especially and again, I don't have any of the details, but I know something bad happened around Christmas time with him at some point, because Christmases for him, even now are just not his thing. He avoids them, like he avoids as much as he can. Christmas like the plague. So I guess it would be interesting to go back and ask him now, if he would be willing to share what happened. I don't know if he would tell us yet or not.
We should get him on the podcast, not for this conversation that we're having, but I think it'd be really cool. I wonder, do you think Grandpa would be game to be on the podcast? I don't know if he would.
I don't know.
He's a very
he's a very reserved person. You kind of have to you have to have a big one of those giant front loaders to pull stuff out of him, because that's just the way he is.
He's like very, I don't know, just like, I think one thing that I always like think about when I think of Grandpa is like, I look up to him so much because he's so just like driven, like he's always working on something, and that like kind of pisses me off because he's just doesn't stop. Like he's like, oh, I'm working on this, I'm working on that, this, that, or the other thing.
Take a break.
It's like, bro, like, can you relax for like 7 seconds? Nope. And he cannot. He can't.
He was like that. He's been like that my whole life.
That's
kind of why, I would say I got maybe a half or a third of that kind of drive from him. Mm-hmm. But, that's the way I was when you were growing up.
Yeah, that's understandable. Josh, what would you ask your parents that you haven't asked them? Or should we not answer this? Because this is different for us, because we could totally
I'd go kick down their door tonight and be like, hey, what hey, I have some questions for you. I don't know what the questions are, because I don't really know, but
yeah, I can't really think of anything.
I can go kick down their door right now.
I can't really think of anything. I guess
go ambush my mom's work real quick.
I guess since we're talking about careers and stuff, one question that I had, so I remember when I graduated high school and I was like terrified, because I remember talking to mom about this. I didn't talk to dad about it. So I was talking to my mom and I was like, Mom, I'm like staring down the barrel of this graduation, and you know what that means, like I felt like I had this family expectation to join the Navy, because my dad was in the Navy, his dad, we've already established, was in the Navy, And here's the thing, it's like his dad was in the Navy, and his dad and his dad and his dad. And then like way up the family tree, you have literally John Paul Jones, like the man himself. If you don't know who that is, look him up. But basically there's a straight line from him to me. And I just, it's a lot of pressure, you know, like, and I legitimately didn't want to do it. I remember telling my mom, I was terrified. I was like, how do I tell dad that I don't want to join the Navy? And then here's the thing.
Look at you now.
I know. So I told dad, and I was like, Dad, I don't want to join the Navy. I want to get an education. And dad said, great, I support you 100%. And I was like, what? And then grandpa, of course.
Wasn't what you were supposed to say, sir.
Yeah, grandpa, of course, dad's dad. When I told him, he was like, oh, so you're going to college first so you can commission right away. And I was like, you son of a biscuit. No, because I didn't have any plan to join, like, honestly. And then, well,
it just turns out that your grandpa could see the future. That's just how it is.
I just think it was like, it's something that's so out of my control, because I just went to the recruiter on a whim, you know, because after I graduated college at 20, I had no experience. Like, no one's gonna hire me. Like, what the hell? No one wants me. So how am I gonna go out and, you know, get a job? I was tired of working at fast food.
Oh yeah, that's what.
So I was just like, oh yeah, I'll just see what this is about. And then here I am now. It's like, it kind of comes back to that question, like, do we really have control in our lives? I don't know. It's interesting.
Listen, I'm watching Loki right now, and apparently there's like these 3 time lizards that control everything. So yeah, no, we don't have any control, according to Marvel, at least. They seem to have a pretty good grasp on things. So
since watching that, I have been thinking about what I can do, either like long term or maybe on a daily basis, to try to like break that like sacred timeline per se. Like, what can I do today that would just be like totally, you know, butterfly effect, like cause a shock wave through the world. And I just feel like, you know, most of the time I don't worry about it because opportunities like that don't really present themselves every day. But if you're listening, I would just encourage you, if you have one of those opportunities, just
break the sacred timeline.
Break the sacred timeline. Have the time wizards physically attack you. Makes for a cool story. And who knows? You could literally change the course of the earth. I definitely believe that. I feel like we kind of touched on the next question a little bit.
We did.
Without really trying. So our next question is, Dad, what did you have as a child that kids today don't have? I think it's a really interesting question because right now kids have literally everything. Like, kids have the entire world at their fingertips. My siblings are here visiting as well. They have a cell phone in their hand, like literally access to the whole world. And that's all they've known. And that is incredible.
Okay, so good question. Kids nowadays have access to the information, but I think what I had was more the not so much the facts, but maybe more the feeling or the culture.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, anybody can look up Italy and learn all kinds of things about it, but until you've actually like lived there with the people,
you don't know anything about it. Yeah.
Lived in the culture. I think, you know, people can talk about what they think their culture is all the time, but until you've actually lived in somebody else's culture, I don't think you can truly appreciate what's there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree with that.
I feel like the biggest difference between like kids now and then kids when you were growing up is that, yes, kids have all the information in the world, but they don't have as many of like the in-person experiences.
Right. They have the information. They don't have the context.
Right.
A lot of the context is completely missing. And without that, you miss out on a lot.
Yeah. I agree with that. I feel like a real world example is like, since being out on my own and, having people come over, something that's like, you don't really think about it, but like going back to the whole, like your own culture kind of thing. When people come over to my house and then I expect them to take off their shoes before they enter, like not everyone does that. And it's kind of like a thing where I realized like I kind of have started to build my own culture. That's just like one little micro example of the culture that is like my home. But yeah, I just think it's super interesting because it's so true. Like, I think I agree with what both of you guys said, but I would actually say, in my opinion, the kids nowadays, they have the information, but they don't have the skills to actually apply the information. Because especially like this is something that I think Josh and I talked about off podcast, or maybe it was on. I'm not sure.
I have no idea.
Standardized testing.
Oh God.
Came out when we were kids.
I fucking hate standardized testing.
And so we're not taught in a school to have a skill. We're taught to have information. It's like, how much information can you regurgitate on this test?
We talked about this with Julia.
Yes, we did.
We explained standardized testing to a non-American.
Yeah. It was pretty crazy. But I feel like, and I actually had the pleasure, I'm sure you did too, when you were in Italy. I actually had the pleasure of experiencing the European education system. They really do teach you to build a skill. Like I was speaking in class, my speaking ability just skyrocketed because that's all we were doing. It wasn't like the States where it's like, hey, learn all these and then learn all this shit and then like tell it to me on a test. It was like, when I got there, the homework was like to read a passage. And then usually like, you in American school system, like you'd be like, okay, then you go into school the next day, you take a test on what you read. In Europe, it's not like that. It's like the teacher already assumes you've read the passage. And if you didn't do your homework, the teacher's going to find out really quickly because they're going to ask you, I know you read the passage. I'm not going to ask you a goddamn thing about the facts. I want to know how it made you feel. And that like you are forced to use that vocabulary that you just learned, and you're forced to form an opinion based on something.
Sure, yeah.
And you actually have to express it. And I think that is like one of the most valuable things that I've ever had to do in language learning or just, academia. And I think that America could stand to learn a few things from that kind of culture. It all goes back to culture.
Standardized testing.
Yeah, that shit's
Step
dumb.
one, stop that.
That shit's dumb.
One thing that I was happy to see is that some court decided that the fitness gram pacer test is cruel and unusual punishment. I'm like, good. That thing sucked.
Did they really?
Yeah, they actually did.
The fitness gram pacer test is I don't remember.
No. God, I don't want to relive that.
I don't know what that actually like. What did the pacer test prove? I just felt like it was like countrywide hazing.
Right? Here, watch all the athletes do really well at this. Specifically the basketball, like baseball players do really well at this because they're used to running at short bursts of time.
Yeah.
I hated it. It was awful.
Okay.
I'm gonna
here we go.
Throw the order. I'm gonna throw the order in flux.
Oh, really?
You asked that one. Howard.
Shit.
What are 3 adjectives that your grandparents would use to describe you?
Oh man.
Oh, this is funny because we talked about grandma not last week, but with Aaron the week before.
Well, that's a good question.
Thank you. I got it from the first website that I found.
Thank you, website. I think I'm ready to. Well, Dad thinks I'm locked and loaded with this. I
Oh
think
yeah,
my
go for it.
my grandparents would describe me as annoying, smart, and talented. Uh, Annoying
And you're
because
annoying because you're those other two things.
I mean, sure, but mostly just because I, kind of hit my grandparents with an Uno reverse card because they were like, hey, when are you going to come visit us in Texas? And I was like, this was when I got them to come out for my graduation in Monterey. And I was like, I haven't seen you in like years. Like, are you going to come visit me? Because, I think like since I joined actually my whole life, really, everyone just expects me to move around and like travel to wherever people are because I get it. It's a lot cheaper for just me to go everywhere instead of everyone else having to fly, to come and see me. But that's how it's been my whole life, like going back and forth between my mom and my dad, California and Washington. And then after that, and then also Boston to see my other family out there.
Mm-hmm.
And then, joining the Navy and then taking leave to go back and see my family. And so I think first of all, it wasn't a good situation because I was in like a bad headspace. And I was just like, I just kind of let my piss offedness like really like get to me. And so I hit him with that Uno reverse card and I was like, when are you going to come visit me? Because like I haven't seen you in like all these years and like you just expect me to travel. Like I don't know anything about Texas. I don't want to go there. Like you want to see me, come see me. And then they were like, we have all these dogs that we got to take care of. And I was like, okay, so you're saying like you can't get a dog sitter for like a couple days? Like, I don't know, especially because my uncle also lives with them. So it's like, just tell my uncle to like chill with the dogs for a couple days.
Mm-hmm.
I don't really see the big issue here. I did retroactively feel bad. I kind of feel like I came down a little bit hard on them. But honestly, I think that if I hadn't have done that, I don't think they would have come out for my graduation. And so that's why I think that my grandparents think I'm annoying.
Fair points. I'd probably say for me, it would be funny, talented, and too much like my dad, which is a long descriptor, but it's accurate. And it can be positive or negative for either set of grandparents. Like, because my dad has a rocky relationship with his parents, so it's not exactly like,
yeah.
I don't think they really like me all that much because I'm too much like him.
Yeah.
Which, whatever. It's their loss.
Honestly, it is their loss because you're awesome and so's Dad.
Okay, so now that I've had some time to noodle where I think you're going here, the three adjectives that my grandparents would probably use: bullheaded, smart, and crazy.
Crazy. Why crazy? That's way out of left field.
Well, so
He hit you with Uno reverse.
Yeah.
Crazy in the sense that when I married Teresa, I took on the responsibility. I adopted all 6 of your brothers and sisters.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Most guys, I could tell you flat out, wouldn't have ever even thought about doing that. And to me, that was a no-brainer, no questions asked. I want to do that because in truth, their dad sucked. So I wanted to make sure that if that was the one thing I could do for them, they could say that their dad even on paper was a great dad, or at least I hoped I was going to be a great dad. Jury is still out on that part, but
Yeah, we got time.
But yeah, so crazy.
Yeah, that makes
I could
sense.
definitely see how I with that explanation, I could definitely see that. Because yeah, I could see them being like, you did what? Six? You had one and now you have seven?
Yeah.
What?
Yes. Oh, and
I could definitely see the
2 more.
concern.
And then 2 more after that, and then adopted one.
Right.
Yeah, I don't think, if I haven't mentioned it on the podcast before, I have 9 siblings. And yeah, so that's a lot to unpack. It's for another time, I think. I definitely get crazy because I remember distinctively one time we were up at the ranch. Great grandma was there.
Yeah.
And I remember day one. For those who don't remember from the earlier episode, grandma's like 90 years old. Like she's seen some shit. And
Been
yes.
around.
So day one that we were there, we were like, all of us went up there to go stay there for a weekend. Day one, grandma was so fucking happy. She was on cloud 9. She was like, oh my God, I'm so glad all my family's here. Like, I love them so much. Day two, 7 a.m. I swear, these exact words, I've never forgotten them, left her mouth. She was like, oh, these kids running around, I'd rather be dead. And I was just like, the 180 there. The 180 there was just totally insane. Like, it's amazing what exactly 12 fiscal hours did to her mental psyche. Yeah.
Can't take it anymore.
And for the
Can't
record,
take these children around.
that was typical of your mother's mother.
Yeah.
Or actually my mother's mother.
I feel like grandpa's mom is like awesome. She's amazing. Yeah. I don't think I've ever heard Grandma Connie say anything negative in her whole life. I honestly don't.
Not to your face, no.
Yeah.
Not to your face.
Yeah, it makes sense. Oh, I need to write her a letter.
Will you stop?
Okay. Last question of the day. We're doing great on time too.
We are. It's only 42 minutes.
Okay. I am going to ask this question, Uno reverse card again, to Josh first.
What?
So that Dad has time to think. So Josh and then Dad. Is there anything you always wanted to tell me but never have? Bum, bum, bum. Wait, now I have to think too, because I have to answer this for Josh.
So wait, I tell you.
Yeah, you tell me. I mean, you could tell my dad something you've always wanted to tell him.
Man, you of all people, you?
Yeah. Something you've always wanted to tell me but never have. I don't even know if I don't know. I feel like I tell Josh most everything.
Yeah, that's where I'm at, you jerk.
I think this is tough. This is a tough question. This requires some thinking, which is, good for the podcast, but bad for editing because I'm going to have to cut out all this.
All this dead air
that
you're talking over.
I'm doing my best. I'm probably just going to cut it though. Honestly, it'll just sound better if we just have some poised answers, I think.
Really? Okay. So if I have to answer that question for Josh, I'm sorry, Josh, I got nothing.
That's fair.
If that question were directed at you, I would say that hindsight being 2020,
yeah,
I would have handled the way your mother and I separated a whole lot differently.
That makes sense. I feel like whenever I talk to somebody in the family about how my parents split up, I get a different story from everybody. And it's been really hard for me throughout the years to like piece it all together. And I feel like people are giving me like pieces to the puzzle, but they're not the same picture. And so I have all these like interconnecting, like these pieces that like fit together just fine. But then when you look at the finished product, it's like,
There's one in the middle that's not the same size or the same shape.
no, like all the shapes fit, but the pictures are different. So like, you know,
yeah, it's like the puzzle is made of random pieces from a whole bunch of other puzzles.
yeah,
They all fit together, but it makes no sense.
yeah. And
That sounds about right.
part of me wants to like, I don't know, go through the archives of my life and like sit down
records.
The deep records and like sit down with people and be like, what happened? But then that also carries with it, you know, some other stuff like, you know, like that was a really traumatizing time for me. I'm sure that that was a really traumatizing time for Dad and other people that were involved, because that whole, you know, I don't think anyone really knew how to navigate that situation. And I honestly, I don't blame anybody involved, because how can you, you know, it was so, you know, dealing with Huntington's disease is not easy for anybody, especially when it was so new. People didn't really know a whole lot about it.
What it was,
yeah,
Right.
like that was the reason that I couldn't get tested for Huntington's disease until I was 18, is because my grandfather took his own life because he had it. Don't worry, I'll put a TW for suicide in the description. But because that was in my family history, I wasn't allowed to get tested for HD until I was 18, because if I'm 17 and I have HD and I kill myself, the state is liable. But if I'm 18 and I do it, I'm liable. And so that's why I had to wait so long to get that piece of paper that you can't see off of frame. But that piece of paper, I have it framed. It says that I don't have Huntington's disease. And, you know, I had to wait an excruciating 18 years to, you know, get that news. But I can't even imagine what it was like when my mom had it, because back then no one knew. It was so new, like nobody really knew what it was. Like, it's just this mental health debilitating cocktail that just spirals. So that makes sense. But yeah,
moving to a much lighter note, if there's one thing that I had to tell you, Hayden, it's kind of developed in the past just like couple months. It's that I think Star Wars is no longer my favorite fantasy sort of area.
whoa.
In fact, Middle Earth and the Lord of the Rings has overtaken that.
Really?
Yeah, there's just been not as many good Star Wars products recently, and it's kind of worn me out. Yeah, you can never go wrong with the Lord of the Rings, unless
really
Amazon really screws up this TV series that they're going to be doing, which is possible.
Oh, it's entirely possible. But I don't know. Amazon also put out The Boys, and I've heard nothing but good things about that. I need to sit down and watch it. It's on my list, but God knows I don't have time for TV.
TV, never heard of it.
Something that I've always wanted to tell Josh. Oh man, this is tough, man.
I'm waiting.
Yeah,
you didn't think this through, did you?
I did not. Nope, I really didn't. It's okay. We'll just have more to cut out, I think. I think it's something that you already know, though. You know, like I just haven't like explicitly said it. But it's kind of like one of the reasons that this podcast exists. And it's that, you know, like I feel really bad because I feel like in the last couple of years, we've kind of like become a little bit more distant from each other. And like your life is just really busy and my life is just really busy. but I definitely regret not making more time for you. And I definitely have friends that I would say take up more of my time. And I think, hindsight being 2020, of course, if I could go back, I would probably adjust and make more time for you and less time for them. So I don't.
That happens when you live far apart from each other, though.
Yeah.
2 to 3 time zones apart from each other.
Yeah. But it's not an excuse for me to not do better, So
I think you're too hard on yourself.
No, I don't think so.
Howard agrees.
Yeah, he gets that from me, unfortunately.
Yeah, my dad is like super
damn
hard-headed.
bullheadedness.
And my mom was super hard-headed as well. And so I just have like double the hard-headedness.
Oh, you got metal-headedness.
Yeah. I have to go to therapy.
Go to therapy.
I did, but I think I need to go back for like some childhood shit, maybe. Okay, so dad, something that I've always wanted to tell you but never have. Honestly, I wish that we had been closer when I was growing up, because I feel like we talked about this a little bit before, but whenever my parents talk to me about like how everything went down when I like moved out and everything, because I moved out the day after I turned 18. I was like, I'm fucking out of here. I can't take it anymore. I want to be on my own, trying to make it. And I don't think I regret that per se, but I do regret not being closer with you. And I think that when I see like all of the pictures in your phone of like you and the other kids, like Noah and Mary, like they are going to like scouts and they have gymnastics and like all this stuff. And I know it's like a weird thing because like the digital age has like, it's totally transformed everything. But I wish that I feel like they're closer to you than I was at their age. And I envy them for that. And I think that if I could go back and do it differently, there are like multiple stages where I didn't know it at the time, but I was fucking up in a major way. And one of them was really early. I was being emotionally manipulated by my grandmother, my mom's mom, I was just like feeding into her hatred of my dad. And I kind of like resented my dad, but I didn't really even know why. And it was all because of her. And I wish that I could go back and change that. Because I was so young and I didn't know who to blame. And I just had my grandma telling me to blame dad. So I did. And then I think another pivotal time would be after I like permanently moved out to Washington. I think I tried like escapism too much in the form of like video games and leaving the house to hang out with friends, because honestly, the time that I value the most is when I can like steal my dad for a couple hours. Because once dad and I moved out to Washington, we had like a year maybe in Seattle together. And like those were some of the best times of my childhood, was living in that apartment in Seattle. And then everything turned upside down when suddenly I had 6 other siblings and they were all vying for dad's attention.
Yeah.
And I felt like, I was not necessarily by you, dad, but I just felt like I was alienated. And I was, brought into this family and I didn't feel like I was like a pivotal part of it. And so instead of doing something about it, I just ran away. And so I think those are like two solid points. Because, I tell people this all the time. The day after I moved out, our relationship got exponentially better. And I think it's just because we weren't living together, like I was forced by myself to, without, like, this was like not, intentional, but basically I realized that like I had to actively make time for you.
Right.
And I had to actively vie for your time, because then, after I moved out, like some of the best memories that I have with dad are I would text him, or like he doesn't really do like scheduling a lot. So most of the time I would just text mom and be like, hey, can I steal dad for like a few hours? And then, we'd go out to eat or like watch a movie or something. And so I feel like that's really like what has built our relationship up to this point, both with dad and mom. Cause like hanging out with my dad and mom, like after I moved out and like, all that stuff, our relationships have like just vastly improved. I would say, I don't know. You could agree or disagree.
I would agree with that.
So yeah, as like somebody looking at it from the outside, I can definitely see that it's been a better improvement in everything between your guys' relationship.
Yeah. So yeah, we got a little emotional today on the podcast. Talking from the heart here. Well,
talking straight from the heart.
Do we have any save rounds?
I don't think so, no.
Dad, do you want people to find you on social media, or do you want to remain
anonymous?
Remain anonymous.
I think really you only use Facebook, really. But don't friend my dad on Facebook, you fucking creeps. Unless you're Josh.
I only use Facebook to promote my Twitch.
Okay. Yes, I try to limit my social media because a lot of it is garbage right now.
Yeah. That's fact.
And even on Facebook, most of what you will see is probably not going to be me directly, but if I'm there, so be it. Yeah. Every once in a while, like I think last night I finally, checked in at that restaurant that we ate dinner at, only because it was, phenomenal. And I wanted to, I have some friends in Washington that are big foodies, and I wanted to kind of rub it in their face that I was eating dinner at some obscure place in Hawaii.
Yeah.
Nice.
We had dinner at Jorge's. It's this place up in Haleiwa town.
I think you told me about that one, but I don't think we went to it.
I don't think I told you about this because here's why. Here's the story. Okay, so yesterday was crazy. Nothing went according to plan. Our whole schedule was thrown off. So we ended up seeing the sunset at Sunset Beach. Okay. And then after that, I had a bunch of hungry kids and a couple of hungry parents. And I was like entering hangry territory very, very quickly because one of
rapidly approaching hangriness.
Yeah. One of my siblings previously that day at the mall had left my car door open in a public parking lot at the mall. Luckily, like nothing was stolen. I don't think anyone realized my door was open, thank God. But for like a solid like 30 minutes, my car door was just open.
Oh my God.
And like I had like some valuables in there, but
like at the busiest mall in Waikiki.
Yeah.
It was at the Ala Moana Mall, which is
the
biggest outdoor mall in the world. Yeah, that one. So I was understandably very tired by the end of the day. I was a little bit agitated. And so I looked up, like I was like panicking. Don't tell mom I said this. Well, mom's going to listen, maybe, hopefully not, but hopefully so, but hopefully not. So mom, if you're listening, here's what happened yesterday. We were sitting on the beach and one of the kids asked about dinner and mom was like, Hayden's taking us to a special place. And I was just like, shit, what the fuck does that mean? I was like, I am. Okay. So I like very quickly like look up restaurants on my phone, and I just saw this Mexican place. So we drive from Sunset Beach to Haleiwa Town, which is like a 20-minute drive. And of course, everyone's leaving there because the sunset just happened. That's the only reason anyone was there. So hella traffic, the authentic Hawaii experience, hella traffic.
Yeah, the 20-minute trip turned into more like 35, I think.
Yeah. So we're sitting in the car for half an hour to go a couple miles down the road. Pretty damn sad. And we're like in Haleiwa Town. We are another mile and a half away from like the destination that I wanted to go to. I look in the rear view mirror and I see Dad in the car behind me, and he's going like this. And it turns out that Mom just told like a really bad joke, and he was just like, ugh. But from my perspective, I didn't know that at the time. So I was like, oh my God, Dad is dying. Like, I need to pull over right now. So I looked across the street and I saw this place, Jorge's, and I was like, you know what? There's a lot of people there. Fuck it. Let's go. Let's see what happens. And honestly, it's this little Mexican spot. We rolled right up. There were 6 of us. We got a table right away.
Like
I was
2 minutes.
Yeah, I was super, like, they put a table together. Bam. I was so impressed. And the food was awesome. Great. I had a carnitas burrito. It was pretty good. They have good carnitas. That's like my litmus test for Mexican places, is their carnitas. And this was a pass, honestly. Like, I'm pretty hard to impress. So
I had the grilled ahi tuna burrito.
Oh yeah.
And usually they almost always overcook the fish, and it ends up being horrible.
Oh, not Hawaii.
This thing was amazing.
Yeah. Nice.
So amazing food. The waitress was great. All the servers were great. And I think the thing that stood out to me the most was the waitress looked at me as I was sitting down, and she was just like, oh, by the way, just so you know, it's BYOB. And let me tell you, I didn't have any alcohol with me, unfortunately, but just like hearing that, I was like, oh, fuck yeah. So you're telling me if I call up my buds this weekend and I'm like, yo, Jorge's, BYOB, we're having dinner.
Gosh.
We roll up with like 2 White Claw party packs. Holy shit. Like that sounds like a good
Ain't no
time.
laws.
Ain't no laws. That's right. It's time to get respectfully belligerent. So just overall, like a really dope spot, and it just kind of worked out. Yeah. So that's where we ate last night. It was pretty great. And I think that's like a really good note to end on. So
yeah, that was a really fun story.
Guys,
I was like on the edge of my seat the whole time.
Really? Yeah, it just kind of happened that way.
I just figured.
You better lean forward in your seat. There we go. And if you're listening or watching, I want to feel you leaning forward. I want to feel your energy. Well, anyway, thank you so much for listening or watching, if you're watching. And we hope you enjoyed this episode. And don't look up my dad on Facebook. You're weird.
And don't forget to do all the things to get your entries.
That's right. Do your entries. Also go to therapy. Also, if you want to find us on Twitter, it's at JoshandHayden or at HaydenEsmondo or at Joshua58. And then what else? Oh, we have an Instagram, an interview with my best friend. Go find us on Instagram. And what else?
All the things.
What else? I think that's it.
I think we can wrap up the episode now.
Okay, great. We should wrap it up like a carnitas burrito.
Oh, perfect.
Full
bye,
circle.
Guys.
Bye. Love you. Love you all. Love your wall. Say bye, Dad.
Bye, Dad.
I still hate that.
That never gets any easier. For those who are just joining us, of course you're just joining us. You just started listening to this. You know when you hit record on Zoom and it's that lady's voice, it's so jarring. I picture The Grudge saying it actually.
Oh no. Oh
Like
God.
when she says recording in progress, that's the first thing that comes to my mind is like The Grudge, like
That's fair.
crawling up and being like, recording in progress.
That's something I didn't need in my head, but okay, let's go. Oh, I forgot to.
I think I've just made something that was already bad for Josh even worse. And
You have further influenced some nightmare fuel.
I apologize for that.